Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Going to spend a little time visiting with Erik Chrisman, and he is with Oxford Financial Partners, and we're delighted to have him on the program today. And they're out of Denver. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, Kevin. How about you?
Doing great, thanks. Are your clients all in the Denver area or Colorado area, or do you have clients all over the place?
We actually work with clients in more than 20 states across the country, and we do that from offices in both Cincinnati and Denver.
Yeah. We did a story. We were looking for examples of businesses and how they grow their businesses and firms and how they grow their businesses. We were talking about the role of social media. Your company is kind of hampered, or your industry, rather, is kind of hampered by the regulations that are out there when it comes to social media, correct?
That's absolutely correct. I could probably talk for a while on that. It's I'm smiling a bit to myself as you talk. I feel like I'm a pretty old guy sometimes. I'm actually only 44, but partly because of the restrictions on our industry, we're a bit in the stone ages in terms of how we can utilize social media. So instead, I took a different route, which is a little easier to get through. And I actually recently was the author of a book entitled Power of Five Investing, and we're just trying to get some traction behind that right now.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about the social media arena. What are your restrictions? You know, obviously that's a broad question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Kind of highlight some of those restrictions. I know we could probably do an entire show on that, and we have about 6 minutes left. So don't do that. But kind of give me a highlights of how limited you are. Or better yet, I'm sorry, Erik. Better yet, tell me what you can do social media wise.
Actually, we're somewhat limited in that there have been a lot of industry regulations that have come out in the wake of the bad actors like the Bernie Madoffs of the world, and so it's understandable that there will be a regulatory response to that. And so a lot of what we're able to do is has to be pre-approved, and so you have to be creative in terms of how you write things and create content that can be reviewed in advance, and then it can be posted to different social media sites. But the interactivity from social media and being able to respond quickly, of course, is a little bit hampered, and that's a challenge for us.
Mm-hmm. So you could essentially say one-way comments, but you really can't engage. And those one-way comments have to be approved in advance.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. So that's why something like doing a book was a nice way to work around that a little bit, because those things can take on a life of their own, either through positive reviews through Amazon or just word of mouth and people kind of passing those things along.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about therefore, what are the ways? It would seem to me that your industry is largely driven growth-wise through relationship development. Is that the primary vehicle?
Well, that's the thing. It's a little bit funny when I say I feel like an old guy sometimes. Social media obviously is an additional way to get some traction and send some notice out there. However, at the end of the day, the most powerful way we have of establishing relationships with new people is for someone else who has experienced, working with us to say, hey, you really got to call these guys at Oxford. And so at the end of the day, it still comes down to that. And social media is one more way to, perhaps get some more buzz behind that. But you still have to treat people right and be there for them and provide a valuable service. And that is the type of thing that gets that old-fashioned word of mouth going. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the book. Cover those 5 points for us.
Yeah, we've been working with these kind of fundamental principles for, decades with our clients. And as we thought about the approach that we took, we actually went and got a registered trademark on this phrase called Power of Five Investing, because it is a really unique way that we deliver what it is that we do for clients. And there are 5 key principles that underlie all that. There's a 5-step investing process we think is really important for people to follow. Living within your means, which we define as about a 5% withdrawal rate retirement, is the second pillar of this approach. A third pillar is having 5 years of your upcoming spending needs set aside in what we call a stability bucket. The fourth key thing is a 5% limit, and in other words, don't have all your eggs in one basket. Be a little diversified. And the fifth one, and really this is the most powerful one of all, is what we call the 5 words of wisdom. It's never different this time. The mainstream media makes a living off of scaring people to death and causing them to make perhaps poor decisions for their financial futures because they're always saying, "No, it's different this time. It's never going to get any better." And the reality is that fundamentals are still there. If you follow those key principles, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. The guy who's been married 3 times and has had 3 affairs that ended in divorce. He's not going to be different that 4th time.
If we haven't learned by now, we're probably not going to figure that one out.
Yeah, and it's so funny because people either think they are exceptionally unlucky or exceptionally, lucky, or they are exempt. They are entirely exempt, from what's happened to other people in the same scenario, which is probably often the case, maybe more often the case. The reality is that learn the lessons of history, be it people you're dealing with or investments you're dealing with.
Well, I know you have a strong background in history, so you very much can understand that that fifth point's very powerful. Things have a way of working themselves out, but if you don't take lessons from history, you're not going to do very well.
Do you want to mention the website is oxfordfinancialpartners.com, oxfordfinancialpartners.com. Tell us a little bit about your clientele.
Most of the folks we work with are either very serious about preparing for retirement, or they have already made that decision and they're trying to figure out, how do I have a good, successful 30-plus year retirement, including all the gyrations for the stock market? How do I get through that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And are most of them middle age or more senior than that? How would you define them age-wise when you find them and begin to work with them?
Yeah, it's not necessarily age as much as it is about the life stage. I know we typically define retirement as age 65 because that's how Social Security set it up, but we're finding more and more people are faced with that decision in their 50s, either by, unfortunately, a decision being made for them by an employer that's downsizing. And so a lot of people are grappling with those decisions much earlier. And so we meet people wherever they are in that retirement journey and try to help them through that.
Very good, very good. Fixing to have to wrap up the segment. Some final thoughts there for the listener on this.
I think, one of the big challenges, again, is I'll hit on that fifth point on the Power of Five investing. It's never different this time. We've actually gone through a period in the last 5 or 6 years where, believe it or not, markets have been pretty calm. We had a little hiccup here in the past month or so, but markets have been very calm. And I think when the next storm comes, and by the way, this is history speaking for us, about once every 5 years, you should fully expect about a 30% drop in the stock market. It's normal. And when you tell people that, they think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when this happens again? It's never different this time. Have a plan in place. Make sure that you stick with that plan, and you'll be on your way to prosperous retirement.
Very good. I appreciate your time. oxfordfinancialpartners.com. And our guest today, Erik Chrisman. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Do you want to mention today's program is brought to you in part by our friends over there at usdailyreview.com. Make sure while you're there you like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter, and it's also brought to you by Cornerstone Business Academy. More for you after this on The Price of Business.